Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Very good morning to you. This is Atlantic Television Network right here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. This is Atlantic Blowout. And Atlantic Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network that features chit-chatting and conversations on special interest topics, news events, and stakeholders analysis through correspondence reports and experts' opinion. We have various topics we'll be looking at today. We'll take a look at this one from the economy, where it states that Nigerians, not only the ones facing hardship. This was a statement made by President Tinubu. And then on governance, single tenure, rotational presidency not needed now. This was stated by Tanko. And then on minimum wage, National Assembly cannot legislate on salaries. Partial last statement. On local government autonomy, there are indices that form funds distribution, stated by Senate. And then on population census, exercise is too sensitive to be rushed, Federal Commissioner. And on maritime security, Tinubu pushes for international cooperation. We have our guests already seated right here in the studio. We'll introduce them and find out what their analysis on these stories are after the short break. Please stay with us.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
No, that they are coming from the, they have been in the system, they support effort for the system, and that's they also. Which one? Local government autonomy. I think but it still won't make any difference because if they are screened today and they take up office today, it will be after. So they cannot ask them over because that then it's not going to even be just a percentage. Illegal. In the 1990s, we have 19 states. It's only the caretaker. That means national assembly. Because there are some things. But what you call the national section 7 and section 16. No, it's not the fact that many states.
From the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Old brigade.
Thank you so much for staying right here with us on ATN Blowout. I'll quickly introduce our guests and then we'll delve straight into the stories. On my right this morning, I have with me Victor Ndiche, and he is a communication strategist, a proud one at that. Good morning, Victor. How are you doing?
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Welcome to ATN Blowout. And we also have with us on my left Mufasa Musa, and he is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Mufasa.
Good morning, and it's always a pleasure
Welcome.
to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay, so gentlemen, let's delve straight to it. Our very first story is talking about the president now. President Bola Tinubu has stated that while poverty and suffering exists in the country, Nigerians are not the only ones facing these challenges. The president said this in Lagos, where he received a delegation from the National Assembly who came to felicitate with him on the occasion of Eid al-Kabir on Monday evening. Now, the delegation led by the President of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, included the Deputy Senate President and Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. amongst others. Yes, there is poverty. These were the statements of the president. Yes, there is poverty. There is suffering in the land. We are not the only people facing such. But we must face our challenges. We must find a way to eliminate banditry and terrorism so that farmers can bring out food from the farmland. Back to the heading of that story now. This is a statement of the president. It's actually on the economy, where the president has stated that Nigerians are not the only ones facing hardship. I remember a story that we took yesterday about a New York Times report that showed Nigeria in not so good light. And then the presidency were actually against that particular report. Now, that report highlighted some of the policies of this present administration. And they also highlighted the effect of these policies on Nigerians, the hardship that's going on, the poverty, and all of those complaints that Nigerians are having right now. And the presidency wasn't really smiling at that particular report. Well, this is another statement from the president. Let me get to hear from you, Victor, first. So what do you have to say about this statement? What's your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
My thought is that it's a statement of fact. I mean, it is true that Nigerians are not the only ones facing hardship. It's a statement of fact, so I really don't even see why he's even saying that. We all know, nobody has complained as Nigerians and say, why are we the only ones going through hardship? I don't think anybody or any Nigerian has said or done that. So for me, that shouldn't even, we know, the president shouldn't be telling us. We are the ones, we are suffering it. But for the other things he said, about what we should do, I presume when he says we, I'm assuming he's telling himself or telling us that these are the things that he's doing or intends to do, because the bulk of the responsibility lies with the people in the helm of affairs, leadership. So
that's what he's saying. When it has to do with poverty, hardship, and lack, and all of that we're going through now, we're not the only ones facing it. So let's also talk about other things. Let's talk about banditry. Let's talk about terrorism. Let's talk about insecurity.
We should not talk about it.
That's actually the idea.
He should do what are we talking about? Are we talking about it does what? He's the president. What I would have expected, as in addition to what he said, this is what the government, this is what we're doing to ensure that we tackle banditry and terrorism, to ensure that the suffering that Nigerians are facing is a bit reduced. That is what I would have loved to hear. What I'm hearing is telling us what we know. Of course, we know that we're suffering. We know that terrorism is a problem. We know that banditry is making people not able to go to the farm. What are you as the president? As a president, what is your response? What are you doing? What is your government doing to ensure that these things are reduced? Because you can't eliminate poverty completely, yes. But what are you doing? If you had not said that, I think that would have been a better thing to behold. But rather, what I heard was what we already know, reminding us of our woes. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that information, but what I want to know is not what we should do. As a president, as a government, what is the federal government doing to end banditry? What are they doing to reduce the level of hunger? What are they doing to reduce the level of banditry and insecurity? If he had said some of that, maybe give us a brief, like, that is why the government is ensuring we're recruiting more people, we're ensuring that the ammunition.
Do we really get more of that in the statements that are being made?
Oh, we don't. That's what I'm saying. That's what would have made more sense, rather than reminding us of our woes. We are reminded. We are reminded.
All right, Mufasa, let's get to hear you.
Well, I strongly agree with my friend Victor here. Already we are aware. You do not need to start, reminding us of what we are passing through. Unless, of course, you have a solution to our problems. And then again, one would have expected the president and his colleagues, because I know that the caliber of people around him, that, the delegations are, they are the same people, we would have wanted to hear more of the policy direction of this administration, okay? We know, like rightly said, that we cannot go to the market with 50,000 naira now and have a decent pot of soup. We know that farmers can no longer go to their farm. We know that people are paying taxes to bandits and pirates and all of that, which is an aberration, it's an error. So I think I do not want to use words that may not be permitted on air, but then again, I want to state categorically that this government has lost it. And it is in all aspects.
Why do you say
Now,
so?
you don't come and begin to tell people their problems as if they don't know. What the people want to hear is solutions to their problems, okay? They should, as a matter of urgency, take their heads off the cloud and stamp their feet on the ground. That is what the people want to see. We are very much aware that so much has been spent on frivolities, on, you know, luxurious lives of, you know, the ruling class. We are aware of the rapacious brigandage and avariciousness of these people. We are so much aware. So they should know that the only way that Nigeria can move forward is when we begin to see things being done.
That's why you said we must find a way to get through this.
No, good. When you say we, he has been given the responsibility. You know, in a democracy, there's what they call social contracts. We have given you that responsibility to prefer solution. And you shouldn't even try to give any excuses. There's no room for excuses. They keep making references to countries in Europe and America that are equally having to pass through this hardship, like you rightly said. But then again, if you go to those countries, you know, having to fend for themselves is not a big deal. You know, basic, you know, amenities is not a big deal. You open the tap, you seek to drink clean water. Currently, we're having cholera outbreak in this country. So let us not, we shouldn't aggravate this matter. People are very, very sensitive now. You know, we are in a state where any little spark can throw this country into chaos. So my appeal, because it has got to the point where we have to beg them to do what they ordinarily ought to do. My appeal, yes, unfortunately, sadly so. So my appeal to the president and his, you know, and his group of ruling class that came to see him, you know, they are drinking champagne, break bread and all of that, whereas we are here, we can't even buy a cup of gari. Is that bad? So instead of doing this, rubbing it on our faces, we want to see our refineries being, you know, revamped. We want to see moribund industries and all of that. That is what we want to hear. That we are currently at this so and so phase. You know, not the blanket statement in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and all of that. We want to see categorical statements. As we speak, we are at so and so stage, we are so and so phase, and all of that. So people will have that confidence that, in as much as we know that, you know, these things, you know, is global, but they are making efforts to see how they can get us out of the woods. But as like I said, we have lost it, and for me, I think this administration is clueless, and unless they get their heads off the cloud,
clueless in what aspect?
Good. Now, when you come into government, you have programs that you've already had in mind, you know, to execute as a leader. And as part of those programs, there's what they call policy. There has to be a policy direction. And you must recount the level that you've gotten to stage by stage. You know, we are not saying these things. The president came and said subsidy is gone, and up to this moment, nothing is being done about it. People are buying fuel at the rate of 850, 900, even 1,000. Look at the value of our currency. So if this administration has a clue, even the slightest clue of how a state should be run, I'm sure by now, you know, it will be reeling out the things that has been done and what he has to do or is, you know, intending to do in time to come. That is how you know a government that has a clue.
Okay, so let's look at the...
So that is why I said it seems this administration is clueless.
But let's look at the subsidy removal you have mentioned now, that particular policy. Even though we had a lot of Nigerians who were asking for this before it was done. And then after it was done, we were told that this was actually taken up because it was taking a toll on the economy. And to prevent our economy from going bankrupt, we had to take off subsidy. So now a lot of Nigerians are speaking up against this, and they are no longer, some Nigerians who are in support are saying they're not seeing some of the things that they should be seeing. So what do you think that Nigerians want to see? Aside the fact that Mufasa has stated that they want to see an outline which the president or the presidency hopes to follow, right? What are the things that we hope to see right now? What do we expect from the presidency to reduce the effect of this subsidy removal on Nigerians currently?
Well, you know the thing is, Nigerians were not against the removal of subsidy. We're against the idea of what, when you remove subsidy, what is the plan? And just like he mentioned, a policy statement, is like a guide. What it means is that you can track the record, you can track the extent which you've done, work rate.
Exactly.
But we don't. As I am now, I can't say, okay, this is the president's agenda or policy for this sector. This is the president's policy for an agenda for this. This is what the president is aiming to achieve. Of course, with a timeline. That is time. So okay, just like he mentioned, we started this whole process with the refinery. Till date, we're still hearing same old news. I mean, you come and say very soon, before the first quarter has come and gone. Nothing. And even as when the time they gave, first quarter, reached, no official statement to say, oh, Nigerians were sorry, we know we promised first quarter, but this and this is the problem. These are the problems. This is why we're not able to achieve this set goal. But by the time we do this and this, we are doing this, and by so time, this is going to work. What happened was everybody kept quiet. So it's not like Nigerians were, what is subsidy? How much do we, the average masses, know about subsidy? It's still within themselves. They know what they've been doing with the whole subsidy, idea. Raking funds. And yet, most of the products that were being subsidized, we were not getting it. I mean, from the information we have, it was clear that the government will pay subsidy for product. Some of them, still within there, will still take those products, go and sell outside.
Yeah.
So for us as Nigerians, what we want is not hearsay. We want, just like he mentioned, social contract. You have a social contract with the people. It's binding. What do the people want to see? Carry them along because we know that you cannot do everything, all at a time. But show us what you're doing, and let us see. The people are carried along. Their confidence will be there. Basic amenities. We're suffering. We agree that Nigerians are not the only ones facing hardship. But if you go to most of these other countries you're claiming are suffering with us, the basic things are there. What it means is that they have access roads. What it means, they have access to potable water. They have access to light, which helps them to go about their daily activity. So the fact that you're suffering, in quotes, or you're facing hardship doesn't mean absence. Hardship means it's limited. So these people are probably facing the same hardship, but with better precautions. Look at the amount they've been reading out. Hundreds of millions, billions of naira through one ministry. Say it's palliative. How many of our friends say this person was getting 5,000 from the federal government as palliative? Can you point
Professor,
out that?
can you point out any?
No, he's asking you.
No, I'm asking you. Can you point out anybody?
No, you know the answer already. So
I'm not in your circle. So
that's what I'm saying. You have to answer first before it gets to me.
All right, the chief spokesperson, Peter Obidati Baba Ahmed, Presidential Campaign Council for the 2023 election, Alhaji Yunusa Tanko, has said that reforming the electoral process is much more needed now than the proposed single-tenure rotational presidency to deepen democracy. Now, Tanko, former national chairman of the defunct National Conscience Party, in an interview with newsmen on Tuesday, said reforming the electoral process would guarantee the emergence of credible leaders across all levels of government. Now, these single tenure of 6 years and rotational presidency are things that will be decided by the Nigerian people with the time, when the time comes. Now, they are not things that should be on the front burner of discussion at the moment. This is because what we need actually at the moment is for us to have an electoral reform that would dovetail into credible elections. These are the thoughts of Tanko. He has told us his actual thoughts on this. This debate has been on for some time now, single tenure and rotational presidency. But I'd really love to get your thoughts on this one, Mufasa.
Well, I quite respect his opinion. As a matter of fact, everybody is trying to provide solution for the Nigerian project. But then again, I am also aware that up to this moment, I'm yet to see any of these reforms, are duly and properly executed. I've always said that our problems most times is not even the absence of laws, but we have failed to even respect some of the laws that we have already going forward. So for me, I think is well within his right to own an opinion. It's a liberty to do so, but I do not believe in a rotational style of leadership. Why did I say so? Democracy is about the people. Quite all right. Well, if the people say that that's what they want, good and fine. But personally, I feel if you make leadership something that has to go by a turn by turn basis, by the time it gets to the turn of a people who do not have credible candidates or people that have the capacity to deliver and the desire to accomplish, you see power now find its way into a complete ignoramus just because it's influential or it has so much money, and that will portend a serious danger for us as a nation. I think what we should be talking about is how to strengthen institutions like the electoral body, institutions like the judiciary, and what have you. If we have strong institutions rather than strong individuals, even if all the political position comes from one family, you cannot influence the system, because the moment you try to do so, the system, the institutions will check those excesses. So for me, I do not believe in rotational arrangement.
Strengthening the institutions, is that not part of the reforms he's talking about?
That's what I said. I just said something that we can pick from some of the suggestions preferred, but I just said rotational arrangement. I personally do not believe in that. We can go further to say that as a country, let us have a situation where if INEC is truly independent, they should have a system where the president does not have to single-handedly choose who becomes the chairman of INEC. If you have a situation where the chairman of INEC, they should bring they should have an arrangement where states or civil society groups suggest individuals of proven integrity. Then they now appear before a panel duly constituted by maybe the National Assembly to now vet and screen this individual, and out of all of them, you pick the person that is the best. Then the government can now fund the institution, and that individual will run that institution as an independent body. By so doing, you have strengthened that institution. You do not need to be influenced by the person who have selected you or something. Let me give you a good example. If you go to America, in the judicial system, there's what they call the jury system, where if a case is being heard, they select people from within the communities who are not judges. But these are individuals within the communities, and they are meant to, look as the observe as the case, as the proceedings developed. Within them, they conclude and agree to say that this is our collective decision, having examine the position of those who have come to hear their views and all of that. So the judge will now look at the resolution of the jury, and also with his own wisdom and all of that, come up with with a judgment. That is an institutional arrangement. So for me, I think we can begin to look into that. Some of these our leaders will travel to Europe and America. We see how things are being done there. If we say we practice a democracy that we borrowed from these countries, I think we should also try to tailor our democracy in such a way that it will also encompass some of these things that gives integrity, that gives transparency to their democratic system. I don't know if our own democracy is made in China, but then again, we have a way of making a mockery of what other people are doing well in their in their various domains. So for me, like I've said before, the gentleman has provided a solution or solutions to what he thinks could be a driving force that will strengthen our democracy. But then again, there are certain things also that I personally like. That issue of rotational arrangement, it doesn't sit well with me.
All right, Victor.
Well, I mean, it's completely true. To a large extent, I agree with what Unisha Tanko said, because the most important thing for us, unfortunately, is not just the reforms. I mean, Mufasa has mentioned this, and this is a fact, a very notorious fact, that we're where we are as a country, not because of the lack of laws, not because of the lack of regulatory constitution, but because of the lack of implementation, there are a lot of laws already, constituted that, or is meant to guide us. Where we're having the challenges, implementation. Even if you go on these reforms, we've had the electoral reform just quite recently. So, I don't know the other reform. What other reform do we want to make, concerning our electoral reform? We just had one, even had to, touch on the constitution of how INEC is operating. So which other constitution do we want? The same one that we gathered and said, okay, let us have electronic voting. What happened in the last election?
Exactly.
So it is not even, remember is it a rec from which of the states? This is Zamfara or which Adamawa state? I can't remember the state where where someone that is not saddled the responsibility to declare winner of an election.
I think it's Adamawa state.
Adamawa state.
Adamawa state.
Declared an election. While the election was still going on, declared the result. Till date, have you heard any conviction? What we've been hearing once in a while, information will just come out that this person should be tried. Excuse me. So what other laws do we want? We have the electoral laws clearly stated. We know what we need to do. Are we doing them? Tell me, what is INEC doing concerning voter registration? You're a journalist. How often have you heard INEC talk about the revalidation of voters' registration? These are responsibility. This is how, but we're not doing it. So it is not the...
You said we know what to do. What do you think?
We know, and we've set out laws. It's in our laws. It depends on, you say what is, a lot of things that we need to do. So you want me to go and start mentioning all of that? What the question is, concerning what Eunice Atanko said, what do we need to do in terms of our electorate? We have laws. We need to execute the laws. We need implementation. We need the people saddled with the responsibility to implement laws, to take action. We need the judicial system that is saddled with the responsibility to punish, when people err. We need them to take, proactive actions and steps towards these things. If somebody is wrong, what is there? The police, what are you saying? The police to send the person to court is a challenge, or is it the judges from convicting that person? Is that what is the challenge? So unfortunately, what we need to do is implementation. These reforms he's talking about, maybe he forgot that.
Okay, let's talk about the single tenure presidency now. What are you?
I already told you I agree with him that it is not even something we should be talking about.
Really?
No, yeah, of course.
Okay, why? Why do you think? Why do you think? Calm down, Victor. Why do you think? Why do you think the single tenure presidency is what we need right now?
No. I said I'm agreeing with him. He said
it's not what we need.
It is not
right
what
now.
we need, and I'm saying I agree with him. Okay. Whatever reasons he has are my reasons.
Are your reasons?
Yes.
That's the single tenure, and then the rotational. Mufasa mentioned earlier that when it has to do with rotational presidency, it might not sit well with us, because by the time it gets to a particular, should I say region now, you may not find somebody who is competent enough to stand in to represent that particular region. But the truth is, not every Nigerian agrees with that. A lot of people feel like we'll definitely have competent people in all the regions. When is their turn, they prepare somebody. I remember somebody I had yesterday, he had a lot of reasons to tell us why rotational presidency is something that we should get to look at right now.
Well, I'm sure one of the strongest arguments would be equity. They will tell you want equity to ensure
so
there's balance. But for me, that if you emphasize on that, it takes away merit. We cannot have people on merit. Just like he mentioned, when it gets to, in quotes, these people, the turn of these people, and then for the other people, we have somebody that has the will, someone that is committed and has the capacity
so
to give us, to give. I'm saying priority. Let's say this is the turn of the North, and you have a very proactive, very active, and willing individual that is putting himself forward, that is not from the North, to rule us at the time, as important as it is. Then you say, oh no, it cannot be. The problem is this is the turn of the north, so this person cannot, even in the face, because don't forget, while we might have credible people from that region, not denying that they might not have credible at the time, whichever region that, in quote, the rotation stops, we might not have that, what we need in the forefront. The people that, because you cannot go on the street and start looking for who is credible.
Exactly.
They are the people that are in the top top front of the whole politics.
They consider themselves as influential people, the bourgeois.
They
are the ones that,
you know. So it's not an open-ended something. Yes. Say, okay, because, and we're not saying there's lack of the people, but lack of people that are accessible at that time. In the case of presidency, would you say, okay, because we are considering from the north, say let us go to the north and look for credible candidates? No, the people, the different parties will present to us the corrupt. I'm sorry, the people that they have. I would have to pick from the ones of corrupt, or sorry,
it's a bunch of those ones.
So that alone defeats the aim of rotational, positioning. Just like they are saying. If you say that is the argument, if first I mentioned something very important. If we take cognizance of the fact that individuals are now more powerful, than institutions, we've created systems where individuals can override and overpower institutions. If we have a system where we have working institutions, which we should focus on strengthening, if we have that in play, then we can say, okay, yes. For instance, if we have our laws to favor independent candidature, what it means is that Mufasa can say, okay, he wants to contest, and all his friends look at him and say, this guy, Mufasa, go. I don't need to belong to the PDP, the APC, or Labour Party, or any of those other parties. All we need to do is come together and say, yes, Mufasa is who we want. We'll sponsor him, do all the necessary things that needs to be done, and he will project him. He goes. If those kind of laws are enabled, it are system laws. What it means is that the system encourages this flexibility. But you and I know that it is not so. I mean, was it not as active as Peter Obi has been in the politics prior to his moving to Labour Party? What made him leave PDP? If not for the amount of traction he was able to generate, do you think Obi would have done what he did? But he had to go to another party that was at least had some reputation. So I'm saying if that could happen in a PDP, it should let you know what happens, that the system does not appreciate or encourage this rotational credit, because there's no credence. At the end of the day, when you say rotation, does the rotation actually rotate? When it goes to that region, does it actually feel, is it open?
It's not thrown open. It's still one strong man there that will now decide, okay, this is my boy, let him go.
So that alone defeats that argument.
Well, let's move on to the next story now. Babatunde Fashola, former Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has said that the National Assembly may have unconstitutionally legislated on salaries instead of minimum wage. Now, in an article entitled Minimum Wage Review, My Takeaway, Fashola said what the Constitution provided to be legislated on in the executive legislative list was the country's minimum wage. And according to him, a person earning a salary is paid a fixed amount over some time, while a person earning a wage is paid by the hour. Fashola said there was a need for the Constitution to be amended to allow for the fixing of minimum salaries of workers. Now, in his words, and I quote, in my recent monograph, The Nigerian Public Discourse, the interplay of empirical evidence and hyperbole, I have made the point at page 89 that the word used in item 34 of the exclusive legislative list is minimum wage. The former minister said it does not talk about salaries. I further stated that it had also been shown wages and salaries are different and should not be conflated. I posited that efforts to improve minimum wage must be that and nothing more. It must not translate to a salary overhaul by accident. Therefore, it seems obvious from this definition that by making a law in Section 3, Subsection 1 of the Minimum Wage Act, that the minimum wage of 30,000 naira shall be paid monthly, the NAS may have acted unconstitutionally by legislating on a salary, that's a monthly payment, when they have or they only have power to legislate on wages an annual hourly payment. This is an angle that nobody has actually mentioned for some time. I haven't seen since we have been talking about the minimum wage. Mufasa.
That's the former governor of Lagos State trying to educate lawmakers on the way to go. So for me, I think it will be not out of place if what he has said is properly looked into, without any form of bias, and see how to properly streamline what should be the wage and what should be the salary of workers. All I know is that a laborer is entitled to his wages, whether you want to call it wage or salaries. I also want to say that as a worker in Nigeria, you should have all the, you should be also be entitled to all the good things of life. Okay, there are certain things that shouldn't be seen as luxury. Like what we are experiencing currently in this country, like good roads, like clean water, like access to electricity and all of that. As a civil servant, you should ordinarily have access to these things. But what we see in this country is a complete far cry. So in as much as we should be talking about wages and salary, we should also be talking about welfare, social welfare scheme, retirement benefits and gratuities and all of that. These are those things. These are issues that are also bedeviling, the welfare of civil servants. I said something when they initially wanted to embark on this strike, when we were talking about the minimum wage, when they were pegging it at I think 500 and something or thereabout. But I said, if we do not fix the critical sectors of the economy, whatever you are agitating for will amount to zero. Because imagine if what we're experiencing today, I have been paid 150,000 naira, assuming that was what was agreed between the federal government and Labour. 150,000 naira now, as we speak, cannot even, it can't take you anywhere for 1 week, because everything currently in this country is in shambles. We are living dangerously in this country. So I may want to agree with Fashola that we should understand what we are debating upon. Let us not begin to act like uncivilized people, like ignorant people. If as a lawmaker you don't even understand what a wage, the discrepancy between the wage and the salary, is cause for serious concern. So he has said what he has to say. Those who are saddled with the responsibility of legislating upon these things should look into it and see how to make sense out of it.
The minimum wage between the federal government and Labour, do you see it coming to an end anytime soon, Victor?
It's not meant to come to an end. I actually expect it to.
What do you expect?
It's not even just my expectation. It's the fact that it's going to continue. That's the essence for Labour.
What do you expect?
More of this.
More what?
More of the arguments. Yeah, more of the conversation, because
okay.
Government will always be government. The government will always want to shortchange the people, and would always need that convergence of people in the labor force to actually force government to do the things that they are supposed to do. So I don't see it coming to an end. I only hope that it gets better. I only hope that we have more sensitive and more reasonable leadership moving forward. I only hope that whoever gets to the opportunity to serve or lead the people should put the people first. Should also host that. I mean, what Fashola has said is very technical. It's not a black and white. It's a technical aspect of our constitution, and I bet you there are a lot of grey areas in our constitution that if we, just like Fashola has done for the minimum wage and salary definition, if we open that constitution and sit down to analyze it, I think we might have to just declare public holiday for 1 month or 2 or 3 months to actually rework the constitution. We will realize that we are joking. I mean, look at I think there's this law about the Land Use Act. If it would go into that act, you tell yourself that, look, we're joking, because there are a lot of errors. The PI bill that the Petroleum Industry Act that was passed was a ridiculous one. I mean, with all due respect to our legislation, the case where they declared, for them just to define what it means to be a host community. If you see the difference, you will just ask
if pipe passes through your backyard, yes.
So there are a lot of things in the constitution that needs to be clarified, that needs proper look into technical aspect of it. So, and I think Fashola is correct, really, because you see, this is why it seems to there to be a standstill between Labour and federal government. Not a standstill necessarily, but there's a pause. If you notice, there's a seeming silence between Labour and government. Labour seems not to be so angry again all of a sudden. Suddenly, it seems Labour is not, so forceful to government to implement the minimum wage. Why is that so? The reason is this. There's this cry from the private sector that look, we can
even governors are even saying that.
Local government have said, federal government say we can pay. We can even pay the
100,000.
So suddenly, what it has highlighted is the fact and the truth that when you see wage, minimum wage, for the nation, it's a more broader aspect than declaring salaries for the civil service. So what it will mean is that you're trying to dictate how much private businesses are going to pay their workers. Meanwhile, the economic conditions are not improved.
Yeah.
So there's a conflict, and this is why it seems so there's sudden relent from Labour. They've got to a point where the private people are asking them, if you put this in at all,
how can we sustain it?
How can we sustain it?
So
and
how do you see it playing out at the end of the day?
Oh well, everybody has to be realistic. Everybody has to, but from what the Fashola said, that also needs to be spelled out, and there needs to be separation, so that if there's a separation, what we should consider is other factors that can influence, the value of what we have as enumeration or wage or whatever we want to call it. Because Professor has said it, and I agree with him. If you pay people 500,000, if the economic situation gets worsened, it will just going to cause a rise in inflation, and nothing positive will come out of increasing the salary. So what we need to do, let us have proper structures, have social welfare. We should talk about it. What it should mean is that even if I'm earning 100,000 or 50,000, I should have a social welfare that guarantees my health. I should have a scheme that protects that even if I fall sick, I might not have the physical cash, but I have a security. I know that if I walk into a certain hospital and present certain, I can say, okay, look, I have a plan for me. If I'm sick, there's certain insurance that should be there, certain basic things that should be there. And if these are there, trust me, we will not be focusing on minimum wage. If we have a regulated agency controlling the prices of things in the market, trust me, you will not be, this inflation, these things we're crying, we will not cry for a lot of them. But government has failed in this other aspect.
Social welfare you're talking about, are you making reference to the civil service or workers in general?
No, it involves everybody. As long as you're a citizen, the social welfare is not limited. As long as you have, there are criteria. You verified paying your task and doing all your responsibilities. Then you're entitled to
social security number.
You're entitled to certain this thing.
All right. At this point, we'll take some time off, and then when we return, the conversation continues. We have other stories on our table for you. Please stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very firmly.
politics, natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
just dey vote for government, but we not get good governance.
At all.
Road so e no dey. Light o usai. The infrastructure nko e come turn to be forbidden fruit for the city.
Corruption, well everything. Hello?
Hello, madam. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Mrs. Ayeni. I am calling from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
Okay. Okay, I've been expecting your call.
Madam, remove this your phone from loudspeaker.
No vex, now my phone be like that. Hello?
Are you there?
I hear, I'm hearing you.
Yes. We saw a copy of your invoice for computers, printers, and laptops.
Yes. Are you working on them now?
Ma, the prices you quoted are way too high now.
Madam, sorry, please don't cost.
We found the laptop you said is 1.8 million naira for 600,000 naira.
Hello?
Now my body network there.
I can't hear you. Network is bad.
Madam, we can hear you. Continue.
Hello, I can't hear you. I will call you back.
That behavior not good now.
Madam, now this kind behavior they kill our country. You suppose do things differently. Make Nigeria for better.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
Corruption not in my country.
I don't get a lot. Boy, they won't buga me small. They say, man, give them bribe. I say, nothing. Okay, now, we'll go block later. You remember that contract we will do that time now? They don't pay.
But first, you see the house rent with the old since. We go first call caretaker, take the money, slap him.
Beg, see, you know, say I get annual levy why they pay for club. Where me and boys they shark beer in our house, I could pay that one. You remember say me and tell you I go buy you motor. I go buy now.
Okay, they pay you money now. We don't they beg caretaker? Why would they beg landlord, old man, and they agree give us time? Money can't come now. You won't divert time. You said na corruption. Corruption, not in my house and not in my country.
Sure?
Sure.
Corruption not in my country.
This message is brought to you by the Akinfade Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation,
and with broadcast support from Atlantic Television Network.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Welcome back. It's still ATN Blowout right here on Atlantic Television Network. Down to the next story now. The Senate has said it would await the decision of the Supreme Court on the contentious issue of local government autonomy before fashioning out the way forward by taking a fresh look at existing laws. Now, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs has said this in an interview in Abuja yesterday. He actually made this statement where he explained that the upper chamber of the National Assembly was currently constrained and was not in a position to present any opinion until the Supreme Court made a pronouncement. He noted that some people had raised concerns about the revenue allocation formula vis-a-vis the issue of equity amongst other issues. Now the Senate spokesman said in his words, and I quote, "You might not be able to say much about the local government autonomy, but then we are talking about distributing funds to local governments. There are indices that inform the decision or distribution of these funds to local governments. We have equity, we have landmass, social indices. So when we talk about one of 7 of the schools in Akure, that's social indices. That is where they indicate how many hospitals, how many dispensaries, how many primary schools, how many junior secondary schools, then population. So they distribute based on that. We cannot make any statement until the Supreme Court has actually given a ruling on this particular topic about local government autonomy. Local government autonomy, Victor, do you think that this is the right time for that? Do you think that local governments should actually be given autonomy?
I think they've already been given autonomy, just that it has not been implemented. I mean, Nigeria operates a system, democracy, where we have 3 different tiers of government. That alone is declaring autonomy. Just like the same way we're saying, if we're a federation, we should practice true federalism. It is now in the implementation of that, because it's still the government at the central level.
So what ruling are we waiting for the Supreme Court on?
Oh, okay, no. The thing about the Constitution is interpretations and laws. There's already a law. The Local Government Law Act is there, clearly stated, and one of the things he states is how the local government should be run. Although at some point, what part of the things he did is to, in the means of funds from the federation account to local government, unfortunately, there's an affixation for that to go through the state via the joint allocation something jack. So what happens is that for funding of the local government, it comes through the state, and you cannot say somebody is truly independent if you still depend on me to give you money to work, just like INEC is, where they say it's independent, but when you want to do an election, you still need to go to the House of Assembly.
Which is the debate that is on. So when I ask you if you think this is the time and if they should actually go through it, that's exactly what I mean.
No, of course. Like I said, my answer means it's long overdue. This law, what the federal government has taken to the Supreme Court is interpretation and assurance that this is what should be done, and the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, should give a declaration that this is how this law should be run. That's why, if you notice in the statement, it said they are going to revisit some old laws and existing laws. That way, the House of Assembly can actually amend the law to suit what is being said by the Supreme Court as an interpretation and a prayer being demanded by the Supreme Court. And why this argument is there is that several state governors have argued, they have gone to court and argued their right to determine how certain things are done in local government. So what is happening now is the federal government saying, look, we are going to the Supreme Court for them to declare this is the interpretation. So when that is done, they will amend the laws, because he mentioned the criteria for allocation. You don't just give people money. There are criteria they used to give people money. It was a bit easier because you give to the state government, and the state governors will be the ones to determine based on what is going on, or the different indices. This is what this local government, and that's how money. That's why they usually have the JAC meeting before they release funds. What are you going to do? What do you intend to do, and all of that? Right. So for me, I think it's expedient for the Supreme Court to decide. Then we can move on.
All right, Mufasa, what are your thoughts on the local government autonomy tussle?
Well, I also completely agree with Victor. There's no right time, for the right thing to be done. I've said before that the best time to plant a tree was about 10, 15 years ago. Another best time is now. So
if we're talking about autonomy, autonomy should be total, it should be absolute. You know, we shouldn't be having partial like what we're having now. And I'm sure what the Supreme Court is about to, you know, interpret to Nigerians is about what should be full autonomy. A decision where these local government councils are tied to the apron strings of the executive governors of their various states is an aberration if you want to talk about autonomy. And if the local government are given full autonomy, it will help to strengthen the efficiency of the local government council. A decision where local government chairmen cannot carry out certain projects in their various council just because of the encumbrances and the limitations that they have. They need certain permission from their state governors before they can go about that. And for me, that is a strong limitation. And I also, in addition to that, would also want a situation where INEC should be the body that should conduct local government elections. That also should equally strengthen the independence of the local government council, because if you have the state governors setting up the state electoral body, still being the one to choose who should head those bodies, of course there will certainly be some level of influence in who becomes the chairman of council. So for me, the National Assembly has said that they await proclamation of the Supreme Court. So who are we to begin to legislate upon that? Let us see how things pan out. I think today is actually the day that we're expecting a ruling on that matter. Whatever the Supreme Court says, I think that's what we'll
all right, let's see how that plays out at the end of the day, and let's see how much more we can take before our time runs off. The Federal Commissioner representing Osun State at the National Population Commission, Dr. Amidu, yesterday has revealed the population census in Nigeria is too sensitive to be rushed. In his words, the federal government had scheduled the population and housing census from May 3rd to 6th, 2023, before it was postponed after the general elections last year. Now, speaking to journalists Noshobo at the weekend, he has stated that the exercise would have failed the integrity test, considering the agitation that usually accompanies such exercise. The last administration, in his words of President Muhammadu Buhari, attempted to conduct a census in 2023. We don't need to be told that the timing of last year's census was designed not to hold, because the government was supposed to depart on May 29. The census itself comes with a lot of complaints. We witnessed the 2006 census, where some states of the Federation disagreed with the figure and went ahead to conduct an independent census of their citizens. The census, this particular exercise, is too sensitive to be rushed. The Federal Commissioner has stated this one. Are we due for another census? Mufasa, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, of course, my answer will be an emphatic yes. I mean, it's even long overdue. When you want to talk about planning, you cannot plan without accurate data or figure. Today we'll say we are 200,000, or 200 million. Tomorrow we'll say we keep, like sounding like broken records. So if they are telling us it's too sensitive to be rushed, I wonder what they are doing with their time. The last census we had was in 2006 or thereabout, and it wasn't even, accurate. Now we're supposed to. It wasn't accurate? Of course, we had discrepancies. We had a situation where we were falsifying figure for political reasons, and and thereabout. So we need to be sincere in what we do in this country. Let us not begin to, feel that Nigerians are fools. During the days of the former presidents, I'm aware that even monies were even released. Billions of naira were released for census to be conducted, and for one reason or the other, it did not hold. We are yet to be told what happened to those money. And now, there was supposed to be another one after the election, and they keep telling us the same old stories. So this really means that we don't even see any sincerity of purpose or an intention on the part of government. But one thing we shouldn't fail to understand is, without a figure, you cannot plan. And if you fail to plan, you certainly plan to fail. It's as simple as ABC. I can't even go beyond that.
So you feel that's one of the reasons that we are having some of the anomalies that we're having today?
The reasons why we are where we are today is because we have leaders who do not even want to do the right thing. You know, when you keep giving excuses, you know, every now and then, it shows that you're not even serious in doing what is needed. So for me, I'm not even taking these things seriously.
You're not taking statements seriously?
I know that they are not ready. They're not ready. So if you are ready, where there is a will, there's certainly a way. So you can't be telling us that it's too sensitive. That this statement, it doesn't even make meaning to me. It's meaningless.
Victor, are you also in support of that? That this statement is not something that we should be getting right now?
What does it mean by rushed? I mean, billions of naira were released for consensus. People were contracted as staff for the consensus. At least I remember what was going around. They were employing people to do the consensus. People were paid. Trainings were done. And of course, quite reasonably, you know, the timing was off, but it was called off. That was what year? I mean, elections had come and gone. New government has come even after that. After how many years? So when he say rush, I really don't understand who is pushing him to do consensus. I mean, when these people are failing their responsibilities, they need something to show that they are being active, and they come on air and tell them, just like, I mean, the other discussion we had about the president telling us that Nigerians are not the only ones going through hardship. Why are you telling us? Who has come out to rush the commission to do consensus? Something that is long overdue. I mean, it's unfortunate, really. We don't have people that know the importance of this action, of certain decisions. For the government, just like Mufa said, and it's a fact, if you don't have these facts, even though estimate, because no matter how much you count, it's still going to be an estimation.
That's true.
But it should an estimation that is close to the reality. That way, it will guide you in doing some of the things, a lot of things actually. And if you don't have actual figures, you know, you can come on here and say 200 million people are receiving a federal government palliative of 5,000 per month for the poorest of the poor. How do you get that?
How do you arrive at that?
How do you arrive at that? And how did you share the monies?
The demographic.
Yes, the demographic. How did you share it? The North took this one, the South, the States. How do you do that? So, you know, things like these are the issues that we have. And for me, this is just an excuse. If it doesn't have anything to say.
His explanation is for last year, what actually happened.
Why is he making it? Who is pushing him now to make
the time? The time was short, and so we could not do anything.
We know that is more than 2 years ago. More than 3 years ago. My question is, from that time till now, who is now pushing him suddenly to do consensus? So are you saying that 1 year, a whole 1 year, 12 months, is not enough to plan to start doing a concession that arrangement have already been made for? So you probably just need to call up the people that you called back, do a re-enumeration, say those that, if you are not working again, see if you can fill up. You've paid money, I'm sure they've gotten some items. Okay, see, let us start. How long do you need, how many years do you need to plan the consensus?
Back to what I said earlier. He's talking about what happened at that time. And he's like, that time was too short for us to actually do anything before that particular administration went out of office.
We agree.
So that is what this explanation is for.
No, we agree. We don't want the explanation. We know it was short. We knew it was short.
That was simply the statement.
No, what is it
so
doing
that means
now?
he was stating what you already know.
No, what is the
so
commission?
What do you expect to be done now?
I expect that by social time this month, we want to embark on the consensus. Okay. You know the reason why we did not do it all this while was we would have done it before, but this thing happened, as you all know. Of course we do. What you don't know is that by next month we are starting the consensus. That is what we should be hearing. These people should not come and be telling us. We already know these things. Why are you telling us?
Same old story.
Are we holding our leaders accountable?
It's an excuse that this is
it's not what we are doing here now. Do you think they listen to us?
I'm asking you your thoughts.
No, we are doing
you are in turn asking me my thoughts.
Now we can only do the best that we can do. You know, unfortunately, we have leaders who are completely insensitive, who are irresponsive, who are irresponsible to the plight of the people. You know, at times I begin to wonder if
they even have conscience. Because every now and then, there is no time, both on conventional social media and all of that, that you don't see people complaining. You know, and as a government that has been elected by the people, we keep talking about social contract. It is your responsibility to feel the pulse of the people. You are not an absolute monarch. You must, it is obligatory, you must listen to the people and do what the people want you to do. Of course, you have to be rational in doing these things, but let it be seen and known that you are making moves, deliberate and intentional moves to, you know, to make life better for the people.
This is what we want to see.
You understand me? Not coming to tell us, okay, now they told us the other time that vulnerable Nigerians, how did you arrive at that figure? And you've not conducted a census. So so does it mean that there's a serious fraud going on in the system?
Or was it the one they were feeding school children?
Exactly. So yes, so how do you arrive
It was Corona and they were feeding.
Yeah, but you have to, so if you don't have the numbers, like what my friend Victor here said, assuming with that consider, okay, let us try to get an estimate. An estimate that will also help in trying to shape how your policy is being run. No effort is being put in place. They are coming to give us excuses, flimsy excuses. What time will it take? What time will it take for you to plan and embark on a census that you know fully well that it is integral in the development of a state? Because without these does you cannot know how to. Does the government know the number of civil servants that we have? Does the government know the numbers of aged people that we have? The same aged people that say they are giving 5,000 and all of that. Nigeria is a huge crime scene.
Let me ask you this question I asked Mufasa earlier. How much are we holding our leaders accountable for their actions?
Not enough. Not enough. I mean, I've said this in different forums and, you know, opportunity I get. I think one of the things that we have failed or is failing this country is the responsibility of the people themselves. You know, we keep blaming the leaders that they are failing us, but I believe we're also failing because the responsibility of the citizen or the people, you know, is to hold the people accountable. If I give you a job, you know, I want to know how well you're doing. I want to know what you're doing. I want to follow you up. If you're not doing well, what would I do? I would, you know, call you and tell you, you see that you improve or, you know, I take away this thing from you. But are we doing that to the leaders? No. And when I say we, I mean all of us. I mean the people in the journalists. I mean the people in the police force. I mean the people in the judiciary. I mean the people in the House of Assembly, both Federal and Senate and the House of Reps and the different state House of Assembly. I'm seeing the local government chairman. I'm seeing the youth bodies, the churches, the mosques. I'm seeing everybody. We're failing. Because we are not being ruled by aliens. It is not, the president is not from Mars. Yeah. He's still in Nigeria. The president goes to a mosque. He has people that talks to him. He has people he talks to. He has family. Are these people asking him, are these people not Nigerians? You know, but because people are, he mentioned, insensitive. A lot of people, they just get into position, they are insensitive, they are so, you know, nonchalant about the reasons why they are there. So, and because of this, it seems like what should be done is not done, and to them is okay. I mean,
why do you think
it's okay for him to come on air and tell us that it's too sensitive to be rushed. But he did not, at the end of the whole thing that you read, tell us this is what we're doing as a matter of fact.
So why do you think the people are not holding the leaders accountable enough, like you said?
Well, because we don't understand the power of the people. The power that we have as a people is, you know, is grossly, you know, underperformed. We're not. I mean, remember what happened during the NSAS? You know, there was this sudden awakening on public office holders. Everybody started being aware. I remember even the former governor and minister, Chibika Amechi, came out and, you know, started saying, talked about how the people this could go into and all of that. The people, if the people understand the power that we have, that these people cannot do the things that they are doing if we don't aid them, then we are going to keep failing and retrogressing. We are failing because we have failed in our responsibility as a people. The government, the leadership of the country is failing because the people are failing. Look at what happened in Britain. I think it was last year when they had about 3 prime ministers. Okay. Come and go. you know you cannot do the work. 2 years ago. 2 years ago. You will go. People resign because the people were ready to hold them accountable, and they saw that, look, I cannot do this job. Somebody resigned from being a prime minister. Because you know that the people will hold you accountable.
Is it just
Parliament
about
will hold
us,
you accountable.
Is it just about us not knowing the power that we have? What about us? Do we really know how to actually hold our leaders accountable?
If you know,
do we know what steps to take?
That's what I'm saying.
Are the people even aware of what
That's what I said. If you know that it is because you are failing in your responsibility, if you're as a father, your child